Hey guys, I'm Stanaj, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Your music has been moving. Like you've been working hard for the last few years.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, it's been a long ride, and it's definitely a roller coaster, but it's fun. It's fun as hell.
Now, before we actually talk about Sweat, tell me how growing up singing Albanian kind of like taught you to sing the way that you sing your music today.
Well, I mean, Albanian music is like some of the hardest music to really sing, and I sang like the proper like folklore, like old school Albanian stuff.
Right.
And, the scales are completely different. It's super trippy the way you have to move around, but
And just breathing too. You gotta like
the technique is like a completely different thing. So going from that to English music was, I mean, it's cool to implement what I do there in English music because it's still the same muscle. You know what I mean? So it was definitely like a transition process to like get to it, but it definitely helped a lot.
Now, do you feel like when you're singing like falsettos, do you feel like it's similar to Albanian like music, or is it harder in one way than the other?
It's definitely not there. Oh, man, I guess it's really not at all like Albanian music. The way you use your throat is almost like a yodel. It's not even like it's like weird. It's like a totally different thing. But because I was able to do that so young, and because I was able to sing Albanian music my whole life, it helped me, because that's I think Albanian music is even harder than singing an R&B song. Right. So because I got the hard stuff away when I was like 3-4 years old, now I'm like just like cruising. I mean, I still have a lot to learn, obviously. You always learn something new every day, but it was like a little bit of a cheat code to go from that into this.
Right now, you're currently promoting Sweat. The video just recently dropped. Talk to me about this track, and how do you feel you've kind of evolved since the last couple EPs that you've released?
Yeah, I mean, you always evolve. Even if you're not an artist as a person, you grow up, you start paying rent. You know what I mean? You start living life. You start living real life, and this is just where I am now as a person, and the next album after this might be totally different. We'll see, but this is where I am at this stage of my life, so it's really cool to like show everybody like the chapters, I guess, in my story.
Right. What about like your writing process? Like, has that changed that much with this track?
Well, the writing process on Sweat and my whole album in general has been way more what's the word, I guess, earnest and honest, and not that they weren't before. It's just I've grown to live different experiences, and I handle them differently now being an adult, and what I could have thought was emotionally crazy when I was 20, now I look at it differently. So it's the same, except now I feel like I'm just a little more mature, and I really know what I want to talk about.
Right. Now, in the last couple of years, you were able to collaborate with a lot of different artists, whether it was, EDM artists, or it was like hip hop rappers, or, so when you collaborated with these artists, like how do they kind of influence your music and your direction of the music?
I mean, my last single was with Ty Dolla $ign. He's musically insane. Like he's so good. I had just released a song with Afrojack, the DJ, with Ray Shremmerd, Sway Lee and Jimmy, and it's really cool seeing many things, seeing the way they work, seeing their writing process, or Sway Lee was at the music video changing lines.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So you always learn something new, when you're working with other artists, which is always cool, and because I've been able to kind of work with such dope people, it definitely helps me so much. It's a learning experience for sure.
Now, this track is actually the second time you collaborate with Afrojack, so how different was it the second time around? Like, are you more comfortable with him now? Are you still trying to test the waters with him?
No, he's my boy. So he actually, when I actually did I recorded both songs in one night. Jeez. Yeah, and we were just vibing out with music, and he was like, yeah, let's do Better Roses, and I was like, all right, let's do Better Roses. And then he was like, hey, I really like Sober. I kind of want to release it with, Sway Lee and Jimmy. And I was like, let's do Sober. You know what I mean? So it was just really fun, really organic, and he's the homie, so it was super easy. Right.
Now, you mentioned earlier, like, an album. So, as you're creating this record, like, what has been the biggest challenge so far?
I mean, I guess the hardest thing is you're always so picky on yourself.
Right.
I mean, this is in general, for the most part. And for me, when I'm listening to my music, and this is my first album ever, you know what I mean? This is my first chapter, truly, because EPs are always, almost like a taste of what's to come.
Right.
So for this to be my first album, it was definitely like, I'm nitpicking everything. I'm not sure, should it be this, should it be this? But, working with people like Tommy Brown and BJ the Chicago Kid. And,
Nice, BJ.
Yeah,
Nice.
and BJ's been he's like a big brother to me. So he's like, listen, take a step back, relax, everything's, good. So
Right.
I guess the one obstacle for me with doing my album is like overthinking.
Okay.
And with the help of, the collaborators on the album, they were like, listen, don't overthink. Everything is the way it's supposed to be.
Right.
So
You overthink too much, it's not going to be as organic anymore,
no,
right?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. And it comes from a good place because I want it to be the best for the people listening.
Right.
I'm not even thinking about me at this point. I'm like, okay, what's sonically going to sound best with this lyric, or
Right.
what lyric is going to sound best for this, these sonics. So, yeah, you have to put all of those into, I guess, effect when you're writing.
Are you trying out any like new vocal renditions or any new sounds that you haven't really tried before?
For sure. I mean, there's songs on this album that have never, like, I've never even sang. I wouldn't even know how to like tell you what they sound like. It's very like, there's not, if you told me, compare it to another song, there's songs on the album that literally sound like nothing I've ever heard, which is super dope because it's that's what everybody's always trying. We're always trying to do something new. We're always trying to be innovative.
Right.
So I'm excited.
Now, I do have to ask though, because your last EP in 2017, you had a track on there, Meant to Be, that was like, that was on repeat for me. Like,
Yeah,
that was
thank you.
such a solid track.
Thank you.
Can we expect some songs like that maybe on this upcoming album?
Oh yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I love, grabbing the mic and having, the up tempos and having fun with the crowd when I'm singing live and getting really amped. But at the end of the day, my bread and butter is, either me on guitar, me sitting on piano, just going back to my roots of, going upstairs in my house and just sitting at the piano and just practicing and learning ballads, I guess. So there's definitely going to be a bunch of jams like that too. So yeah, those are like my babies, actually, you know what I mean? Those are the ones that I work the hardest on.
That's good to know.
So for sure, absolutely.
Now, right now you're here at the Peppermint. You have also a show in New York. Plans for a tour? Like, what are the plans for 2019? I know it's still kind of early, but I feel like you have so much to really do this year.
It's a lot. I mean, thankfully I have a great team around me, and it's gonna be, like I said, it's a ride for sure. It's like a roller coaster. It goes up, it goes down, and at the end of the day, it's still a lot of fun. You always want to go back. You know what I mean? So, for me, he's staying focused. Right now, I'm just focused on finishing up the album, wrapping it up, doing these two shows, which are, I mean, it's crazy that these are my first headline shows and both sold out. It's like absolutely insane to me. So I'm living in the moment right now. I'm not even me personally. I'm not even thinking ahead. As of right now, I'm just like so grateful for tonight. I know the team is like in the back somewhere, like
Stressing out,
like, you know what I mean, like going all ham. But
Right.
as for me, I'm just super grateful to even that there's people that want to come and hear me sing.
Right. Now, early on in your career, before you even had music, like before you even hit the studio, you performed at Drake's house. Like, what was that like? And walk me through that like experience.
I mean, there's really no way to explain it. I mean, the guy, I was singing at karaoke bars and open mics, and next thing I know, I'm singing in his living room.
Yeah.
And I've never recorded a song at that point. Nothing really ever happened for me, and it all happened super organically from the internet. And meeting him and seeing how he is as an artist, and we were in his house. I've been in his studio at his house, and it's just really dope to see that even as big as he is, he's super he's very warm. When he messes with you, he really messes with you. So it's really cool.
I feel like so many other artists are messing with you, and I feel like that's just the beginning. Like, it's just gonna get crazier. So, to close this off, for those that are not familiar, like, why did you start creating music? Like, what is it about music that keeps you doing whatever it takes to release that one track that you know?
I mean, for me, I've never had a plan B. Since I was little, since I have memory, like since I could remember anything, I was singing.
Yeah.
The first thing I could remember was me singing, and growing up, I always knew I'm gonna be a singer. I'm gonna be a singer, and this is what I want to do. I never even thought of it. I never even took my SATs. I never did anything like that, and it was scary. It was scary because my parents, came from nothing, and they worked their butt off to, see me go to high school and see me go to college and get a job. Like,
It was that family business too, right? So it was like they wanted you to be part of that.
Of course. I remember when I said I wanted to move to LA and do music, I thought like they were going to be like super like against it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my parents were just super cool. They said, we worked our butt off because we wanted you to live your dream, not because we wanted you. But I will say, between my parents and my brothers, like, I remember I used to wake up with like a microphone or because my family's in construction, so it's like a microphone or like plumber's pliers or like a hammer. And it was like, if you're gonna, with like a note, it's like, if you're gonna do one, you better do it. Like, it's either this or this. Like, you know what I mean? So I grabbed the mic and I drove to California, and no looking back, and here we are now.
That's sick, man.
Yeah.
Congratulations with that. I can't wait for that record. Thank you for hanging out with me, and I look forward to seeing you tonight.
Appreciate it, bro.
You guys be sure to check out Stanaj. New single is out now. It's called
Sweat.
Thanks for watching on Front Row Live.
Turn up.
Hey.